Hey there, my name is Pravus, and welcome to more Rebel Inc. Escalation with the new Dollars and Disasters DLC, which unfortunately launched right as I left for a business trip, so I'm a bit late on the draw on this one, but we did get to play around with it in the last video. I tried out an official scenario, which was a cross between Plague Inc. and Rebel Inc. Just too fun to pass up, had to make that the first video. But today, we are getting into the meat of this DLC with a brand new map called the Devil's Peak. This is an active volcanic site, and the terrain is going to be getting destroyed as we play. Gets kind of intense. We also have a new governor called the Billionaire, who quite literally throws money at his problems. He's pretty good at making money. In fact, I'd say his character's a little bit like the banker, but a bit more micromanagement intensive. And also, he's kind of unique in the way he deals with insurgents. He can only ever have 3 military coalition style of units, which is pretty bad. 3 alone is usually not that great. However, they have a special ability. When they are engaging the insurgents, they can bribe the insurgents to simply put down their arms and go home. So you spend money as you fight, but that does mean that 3 units are able to actually deal with massive hordes of insurgents as long as you have enough cash in the bank. Kind of a unique playstyle. Pretty powerful, but it does mean that sometimes in the early game you're running out of cash and it becomes a bit of a problem. So we'll play around with this guy and have some fun. Now, something I want to go over very quickly but not spend too much time on it are the advisors. There are 3 new advisors for every category in this DLC. Something unique about them, though, is they do cost money at the beginning of a scenario if you choose them. So some of their abilities are pretty powerful, but you have to decide, is it worth starting with less cash when I could instead go for someone free? Do I want a rural, remote, or urban specialist at the beginning of the game at the cost of $2? At the end of the day, probably not. I'd rather go with the doctor, but it is still pretty powerful. On this category, we have the Foreign Minister for higher reputation, the Attorney General for cheaper security initiatives, or the Intelligence Officer so soldiers can scout neighboring zones. I'd still rather start with the Tribal Elder, but these are interesting. For the Celebrity category here, this is really unique. So we have the Friendly Robot for controlling drones, okay, but then we have Credit Manager, can go into debt at the expense of reputation. This might be especially good for the Billionaire. I haven't played with this too much. This is something I want to experiment with, but he might actually be really, really good in the future. And then there's a Corruption Consultant where NGO charities cost less in corruption whenever they fund initiatives. Could be good in certain builds. Now here's what I'm really excited about. The Local Politician. You start with more stabilized zones, even if it's just 1 on Mega Brutal. That delays so much reputation loss, it's actually pretty darn powerful. It's worth the minus $4. So we're going to try messing with this guy today. Though I will say the Tax Collector could be pretty good still. Private Donor, not bad for the Billionaire in particular. We also have Local Liaison, so concerns grow at a reduced rate, very strong. And the Civil Engineer, road initiatives cost less. Pretty good in certain scenarios, including this one, or maybe let's say the Hoover Dam, that kind of a thing. Then under the military, so we have the Squadron Leader where you control airstrikes. We have the War Hero where coalition soldiers gain deployment time whenever they win battles, and the Military Recruiter where they have extremely long coalition deployment, but those cannot ever be extended. Now here's the sad thing about the Billionaire. The Billionaire does not benefit from almost any of these. We have no national soldiers, so most of these are useless. The coalition soldiers never go away, so the deployment time doesn't matter. That leaves you only with the Observer, so you have less collateral damage, or the Squadron Leader, neither of which are very important. So we'll play with the new one, but yeah, the Billionaire does not benefit here. And then under this last category, drones can scan multiple zones, can be good. Start with a free garrison, not bad, and then manually choose the garrison locations. All right, some of these are pretty strong. In this case, I want to go for the Logistics Expert because I think the extra travel is pretty darn important, but the Quartermaster is not half bad. Let's go ahead and get started on Mega Brutal. Sorry for taking so long, but there's a lot of new content. I want to make sure we give it its proper coverage. And here we go. All right, notice I'm starting off with 2 zones already stabilized because of my advisors. This is really good to me because it means I don't have to worry about the lack of stability penalty for a very long time. That's going to save me so much reputation. Totally worth the $4. I'm going to place my HQ in a nice central location right here because it's important I get as much intel of the surrounding region as possible to move my units very quickly. That is extremely important, and you'll understand why in just a little bit. Let's talk about the Billionaire. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the district representatives, and then something else I'm going to do do is get the investment portfolio. This is a unique investment. If you start with a lot of money, you simply invest it, and it grows, and this is how you stay in the 1%, right? That's how it works in real life too. So what happens with this is I spend $10, I put it in the piggy bank. I can immediately withdraw my $10, or I can let it sit in an investment account and grow. And the longer I let this grow, the more money I'm going to get. And here's the really cool thing. I can do this as many times as I want. So if I want to let this grow up to 20 bucks, no problem. I pull it out, I enjoy the $10 profit, I reinvest, and I just start the process all over again. This is a really good way of making a lot of money as the billionaire. In fact, it's probably your most powerful tool. You should be doing this all the time so you have an extra influx of cash whenever you find you're needing it. Let's go ahead and get the effective procurement. Let's get some infrastructure stuff. It is important you get things like roads a little bit sooner than you would otherwise, because mobility is really key in this particular scenario. I do want to save up some money to get some additional intel. That's quite important, but if I can get some extra roads, I'm very happy with that. Technically speaking, you could hold off on the investment, get the roads, and still have another round of regional census, but I'm kind of taking the more greedy approach here. What I would really like to get some of this money building up. It's already worth an extra $1. The longer this goes, the more powerful it gets. Very, very strong power for the billionaire. Now we're going to go ahead and get some intel here. Pretty soon we're going to get a pop-up saying that this volcano is looking to erupt, and there's nothing we can do. There it is. Military initiatives are now recommended. So what we can do is go ahead and get a unique unit. This is the Coalition Facilitator. They are not your normal soldiers, though they can fight. They never go home. All right? These guys will stick around indefinitely, but what they do is bribe insurgents to leave during combat. This costs me a lot of money, but it does mean that one unit, theoretically, can fight a massive swarm of insurgents on his own, and as long as you have a huge stockpile of money, you will eventually win the engagement because they're all going to leave. Now you might be wondering, why are you getting this? The insurgents haven't even spawned. That's because, there it is right here. Look at this. Seismic activity. This is telling me that in just a second, the volcano is going to erupt in this location. So let's go ahead and move our units over here. You'll understand why this matters in just a second. What else do we want to get? People want things like education and water and stuff. That's good, but I'm going to get the highways going because the more mobility we have, absolutely the better, because we want to react quickly to this exact event. Try never to miss one of these if you can. Thermals are up, and now we get a pop-up. What is this? The volcano's about to erupt, and we need to find a way to get rid of the population. We could evacuate them, and if you don't have a military unit adjacent to where the eruption is occurring, then this is your only real option. Otherwise, you massively lose support level, and insurgents are going to rise up. But this is expensive. What instead I'm going to do is, by having a military unit adjacent, is I can do a controlled evacuation. So now this blows up, and this zone is basically not usable for a long time, but at least we saved ourselves some money, and we saved the population. We want to do this every single time this pops up, and easily it'll start to pay for itself. So there's the volcano. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, terrible. And this zone now has a modifier here. It's an inaccessible zone. We no longer can move through this. If I want to go to the city, I've got to go all the way around. That's pretty darn brutal, right? So these things, depending on where they spawn, can really mess up your mobility, and that's one more reason that getting things like roads is important. It's not just to evacuate, it's to make up for the fact that you're going to be blocked. If there happen to be any buildings, like let's say a garrison or insurgent camp here, it'd be gone. If I had a soldier on this tile, it'd be dead. If there were insurgents here, they'd also be very dead. So avoid these, be always nearby. That's the goal here. We could cash out for $13 extra here. I think I'll hold off on that for now. Let's get the outreach office. I do still need to get things like the universal justice, but I'm going to go ahead and pick up an extra coalition facilitator here because having a second one is going to end up being great because now the insurgents have spawned. We can try running up in some of these areas and see if we can just maybe discover where they're currently holed up, and maybe we get lucky and find one of their camps. I don't know, but we're probably not going to get quite that lucky. What I'm hoping is that they don't spawn over here, because that's going to be the hardest thing for me to address. I'm saving some money, though, just in case they do that. All right, so they spawned over here. There's probably a camp in one of these zones nearby. Let's go here, and let's go deal with them immediately, but let's see if we can find their camp as quick as I can. It's gonna be here somewhere. We know that for a fact. So the good news is they didn't spawn in this area. If they had, here's what I would have done. There is a special ability for the military called a fire proximity suit. This allows us to go through the eruption zones so we no longer are blocked off. that means we wouldn't have to run all the way around here. We would have been fine. By the way, I've noticed that there is, in fact, a camp right here. Let's go ahead and get rid of that quickly. That's a very strong power, and you will want it at some point. There's also emergency transportation. Soldiers travel faster to zones adjacent to an incoming eruption. This gives you a little bit more response time. It's not quite what I need to survive here, but it is going to be helpful eventually. Let's go ahead and grab things like the PR and media office. Let's see if we can get rid of some of these camps. No camp found over here. Where's the dang camp? There's got to be one over here. It could be right on these guys. If I go and attack them right now, we're going to lose a lot of money. That's the thing. I'm not eager to attack them if I don't have to. Really want to find that camp instead. Where could you have been? There it is. All right, let's go ahead and get rid of this. And lo and behold, there's some seismic activity. This is a really good spot for our soldier then. We want to stay right where we are and hopefully not get engaged in a fight. No, don't come over here. Oh, good lord. All right, pay him off. There we go. See, we just spent minus $2. He's gone. The fight is over. It's that simple. So now let's get over here and let's deal with these guys so they don't cause any more issues. But we've already dealt with the first wave of the insurgents. That's pretty good. So what do I want to do with my next $15? We could cash out. What I could do is go for forensic accounting. This reduces the corruption from paying bribes. And honestly, that corruption really adds up quickly. So I'm going to go ahead and pick this one up. We can now return our investment for $33. That's $23 profit. I reinvest. And now we can go for more stuff. What do I want? Well, let's go ahead and get some basic services because I know people are going to be asking for things. It does seem like water is a very frequent request on this particular map. So we'll go ahead and pick that up. These guys are now gone. Excellent. All right. So let's get over here. We'll deal with them. We're going to go ahead and get the controlled evacuation. And then I'm going to go for another ability. This one's called Intimidation Tactics. Every supporting coalition facilitator, so that is to say, every reinforcing unit, is going to reduce the cost of the bribes by 1. So instead of costing $3 or $4, it might cost, let's say, 2. You can get 2 of these guys reinforcing, all of a sudden only costs $1 per insurgent, and this easily starts to pay for itself. I'm going to pick that up because right now, if I pop up over here, we can get these reinforcements and this becomes a cheaper fight. So I think that's going to end up being worth it. There we go. Get these reinforcements. It's only costing $1. This one's practically paid for itself already, and they're already gone. Look at that. So there's another camp over here somewhere. Let's get this zone under control real quick. Thank you. There's the camp right there. All right, things are looking good so far. Corruption's bad. Let's go ahead and start paying that down. And what else do we want? Looks like it's still more things like education initiatives and healthcare and stuff. Wouldn't mind getting the dirt roads, but we have to hold off right now. The inflation is getting a little on the high side right now. And we all know how much inflation sucks right now, don't we? But notice the power of this. Only 2 units. And we've already dealt with all the insurgents on the map. Now, you might be thinking, hey, wait a minute. If you can get to the peace deal super duper quickly and just quickly get rid of everyone, buy them off, you can just rush the peace deal and win, right? Not quite as easy as you would think with the Billionaire, because the Billionaire has to pay money for every dang step of the peace process. The result being you can't quite rush it unless you have a lot of cash that you're sitting on already. Let's go ahead and get those fire proximity suits, by the way. I'm just going to tell you right now, it's going to become a problem at some point. Let's get some more corruption reduction because right now it's pretty bad. Note, by the way, the lack of stability, very minor so far, thanks to the 2 stabilized zones. We love this ability. It's so good. All right, I'm keeping an eye out for any additional camps. We know that they're going to... there's one right there in the mountains. Let's go ahead and deal with that. We also have reason to believe that their seismic activity, there it is right there, actually, is about to spawn. Let's pop up over here so that we are ready to deal with them as soon as they appear. Gosh, we still move around really slowly, though. I would love to get the dirt roads. All right, controlled evacuation. There we go. That's not so bad. So we don't lose our HQ, thank God. Otherwise, that'd be an instant GG. But, yeah, this place is now blocked off, our primary crossroads. Good thing I'm able to move through this now, yeah? So there's the camp. We managed to jump on that very, very quickly, so this is going to go away. We actually stabilized another zone already. Good. The more zones we have stabilized, the more money I make, the more powerful the Billionaire becomes. This is going to be good. We can cash out for extra profit now, by the way. Not bad. I'm going to go ahead and get a 3rd unit, believe it or not. And normally you'd want to hold off because you're afraid of having to extend their deployment. But why? Because the more of these guys I have right now reinforcing each other, the cheaper it is to actually deal with the threat. I consider that to be pretty good. Hey, let's get over here because I'm pretty confident that the camp has to be in one of these 2 zones. Could technically be here, but it's not as likely. So we'll pop up over this direction, make sure we have reinforcements in position. We did lose a city zone, which sucks for reputation loss, but oh well. This is a little bit cheaper, and I am wrong. Okay, so it turns out that the camp is right here. Fine. We'll deal with this in just a second. Come on, get rid of these guys. Pay them off. Oops, hang on, we got a thing. Let's threaten these guys and get some extra reputation. No big deal. This is important. A volcanic study has been proposed. stack up some money because you want to deal with this. I need 20 bucks. That's fine. I mean, we're paying off a lot of guys, but let's do it. Hire the local guide. So what happens here is now some volcanologists are going to go to their volcano, and they now are going to give me a lot longer warning period before the volcanic eruption fires off. This lets me actually deal with the threat and possibly redeploy a little bit easier. So that's really, really good. You definitely want to get that. Oh, and speaking of which, there's a thing right over here. Good thing we get a little bit more warning, because it's going to take me a while to get over here, but all right, we'll deal with this. I'm going to move right here in case they spawn on the city again. Don't want to lose the city multiple times. That ends up being really bad, right? Let's approve this with some oversight. Just need a bit more cash, if you please. We need to wait until the unit gets here. Oh, God, it's still not going to be enough time. Oh, darn. We barely were not able to get here in time after all. Oh, no, I don't have the money. Hang on, hang on. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and cash out because I'm a billionaire. Emergency evacuation. Yeah. Pretty strong, eh? I'm telling you. Billionaire has some pretty good perks. Pardon me. Sorry, I'm getting a few scratches in my throat here and there. Now, one thing I want to point out, notice that this is eventually going away. You don't have to worry about every single zone of the game getting a hazard on it. Eventually, these do fade away. It's going to be fine. But do keep an eye on it. Anyway, all right, so what to do next? We can go for, I don't know, I guess we could have gone for emergency transportation. That would have also solved our problems. But I'm going to go for dirt roads and some telecoms. Let's start building up some dang support and try to stabilize a lot more zones. I do still have a lack of stability. It's not awful, mind you, but it's still pretty much there. Hey, let's reinforce this so we can pay these guys off, and they're gone. Goodbye. Now we get over here, and we'll deal with these guys. Whoop, and we have to get over here as well, and we can deal with these guys as well. Okay, perfect. They're paid off, and we've still got a lot of cash we're sitting on. Threaten again, get more reputation. No problem. Yeah, I really need to try playing this at some point with the credit guy. He could be really, really strong. Anyway, let's go for some strategic communications. We get rid of the camp, and look at this. Seriously, we're at this stage of the game. I'm losing only a little bit of reputation here and there, but the insurgents are not out of control because the billionaire just pays them all off. Literally throw money at your problems, man. It's the best solution to everything. I'm telling you, it's pretty good. By the way, let's try to stop antagonizing the locals. It's slowing down my ability to actually stabilize some of these zones. And we'll get rid of you guys, and then we move you over here. We're going to have more reinforcements. We can fight these guys off for fairly cheap. Ah, I didn't even notice this. Right, sorry. Okay, this is going to explode, but it only cost me $3. I'll say that that's a pretty decent deal. It could have been a heck of a lot worse. Let's do some subtle pressure over here, get rid of the camp, and bada boom. Okay. Yep. We're going to win this, no problem. I honestly don't think that this map is insanely difficult on Mega Brutal difficulty, especially if you have the Billionaire, because the Billionaire can be very good. That said, on other maps, the Billionaire can be really, really rough, so kind of depends. I do want to try out playing with the Billionaire on the previous DLC. What is the Oil Sands map that came out? Because I think starting with all that extra money from the oil derricks could become really, really powerful with this guy. Just a hunch, but I bet you it's true. We need a lot more water. Let's do that. Let's also get some more upgrades for roads, because again, the faster we move, the better we do. Also, this zone is now clear. We've lost all intel on it, but that's fine. Watching for signs of more insurgents. You know they're out there. I mean, there's literally an apocalypse going on outside, but the insurgents are still out here. There they are. Let's go get them. Okay, so what else can I be doing? Honestly, the corruption's just out of control. We can try to pay some of that off, or at least burn it a little faster. That's the primary loss of my reputation right now, which is pretty painful. These guys are going to get paid off really quickly. We found their camp. Gosh, dang it, I missed this one again. Hang on, real quick. I don't have enough money. Hang on, we're the Billionaire. Cash out, do this, get this. How quickly could we move here if I need to? Almost fast enough. Oh, barely fast enough. Look at that, controlled evacuation, and all of a sudden, that paid for itself. Beautiful. Found some archaeological stuff. Let's go ahead and fund some excavations and stuff. Yes, that cost me money, but it's worth reputation. Let's pay off some corruption. That's going to reduce the amount of reputation I'm losing at the moment. Corruption definitely becomes a bit of a problem with the Billionaire, simply because as you pay off all the insurgents, that corruption really does add up over time. Looks like we're just mostly lacking a lot of water things. Let's go ahead and boost that up even further, and I'm going to get more dirt roads because, again, the faster we move around, the better. Insurgents, nowhere to be found. We're doing fine. I'm going to go ahead and try to talk to these guys, since we should be able to stack up some money now with what I've got. I'm going to try not to fund any more initiatives if I don't have to. It's sometimes worth running out the clock here so that you don't have to, yeah, for example, we need to spend $12 to imprison. Sometimes it's worth running out the clock on this to give you as much time to stack up money before we move on to every stage of the peace process. So we'll go ahead and do a quick imprisonment like so. These guys are going to get paid off pretty easily. We're going to have some more volcanic activity here in just a moment. Oh, come on. Seismic growth, did I just see that, by the way? Telecoms get seismic growth? That's just a horrible pun. People are dying out here, don't you know? That's awful. How dare you? Insurgents are going to say they're sorry. Let's get some more reputation. These guys run up over Mya. Let's go ahead and run around this direction, see if we can find their camp, get some reinforcements, blah, 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 blah. And this zone is finally going to get cleared out. Let's do some prison reform, try to farm out as much of the reputation as we can. And I guess we can just go ahead and have them hand in all of the weapons, blah, blah, blah. There's the camp. See, now this is where, like, if you have to fight a lot of insurgents and you're spending a lot of money on this, it can really mess up your ability to actually finish up the peace process, right? This is a weird quirk to the Billionaire. I understand why the devs did it. It's just a little bit weird that I have to pay for every step of making peace, you know? Ah, these guys are attacking over here. That's no cool. Insurgents are going to be banned. It does mean when we finish this peace process, it's a lot easier to get the insurgents completely off of the map, so we can just declare victory. Do another controlled evacuation like so. Have you run up over this direction since we still don't know where their camp is. It's probably in this area right here. And nope, it's over here probably. Okay, I don't know how that happened. Let's go ahead and get some airstrikes ready because that can make things a little bit easier sometimes. Where the heck are your camps? No, where are you guys all spawning? I'm actually serious. Where are you spawning? There it is. How did you do that? This zone was stable, I thought. Hey, must be wrong. All right, well, if we can just get rid of these last insurgents right now, we can actually declare peace. I'm going to improve the project over here because time doesn't really matter that much. Apparently, the Billionaire has a special ability there. Ah, gosh dang it, there's more over here. All right, we're going to reject the deal and get some extra reputation. If we had gotten rid of all the insurgents, I would have happily declared peace really early on, but we weren't quite as fast as we needed to be in order to respond to all this. Gosh dang, they're really trying to pop up all over the place right now. These guys are getting annoying again. Well, we can cash out for a lot of extra money. Heck yes, look at that. Now I'm sitting on $53 again. I love being a billionaire. Being a billionaire is great. It really, really is. Ah, hang on. I see some seismic activity. Let's go ahead and move down over here. It's going to take me a little time, but I think we'll be able to get here in time. I really hope we can get here in time. Come on, come on. There we go. All right, let's go ahead and do another controlled evacuation. Everything's fine. Let's prioritize some elections and just start farming out some reputation again. Now, one other ability you should probably be aware of for the Billionaire. Corporate charity is a replacement for the NGO initiative. Free initiatives are provided over time, and they increase inflation. At the cost of $15, you're just going to get random things for free. Sometimes it ends up being really good. Sometimes it doesn't really matter all that much. You never really know what it's going to be. Holy crud, minus 28 reputation because the insurgents keep spawning on this dang city. That is so very annoying. That's just going to cost me an absolute ton of score. Absolute ton. But oh well, doesn't matter. I mean, that's just unlucky. We couldn't get there fast enough. In a normal game, you wouldn't have that happen to you, probably. Jumping forward a little bit, we should be just about done. Need to finish off a camp real quick, get rid of some of these guys, and before they can spawn anything else, let's go ahead and agree to a peace deal. Now here's a weird thing. We've agreed to peace, and the volcano immediately quiets down and all these zones clear out. Political support, political stability apparently is enough to save the climate. I don't know, it's kind of weird. Anyway, that finishes that. Not my best showing, only because we ended up with losing so much reputation toward the very, very end there. But oh well, it's okay. We beat this on Mega Brutal. We tried out the Billionaire. He's pretty powerful, and this is a really, really fun map. I have to say, this might be one of my favorite maps. It's so unique in how you play the game. Absolutely love it. And that's the big new content added into the game. Now, of course, there's plenty of different official scenarios to mess with, but that's another video for another day. Thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If so, I'd ask you to hit that like button, leave a comment, subscribe, make sure you hit that notify bell, and I will see you guys next time.